Guru Paramparam. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyam Devaah Bhadram Pashyema Akshabhiryajatraah Sthirair Angairastushtuvagum Sastanobhi Vyashema Devahutan Yadayuh Swastina Indro Vrithashravah Swasti nः Pusha Vishwavedaः Swasti nastarkshyo Arishtanemiः Swasti no Brihaspatirdadhatu Om Shanti 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvisha Vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So today we will conclude the first Karika of this Agama Prakarana. So let's look at that. Bahishpragyo vibhuhu vishvaha Bahishpragyo vibhurvishvaha Hya antah pragyastu taijasaha Ghanav pragyastatha pragyaha Ekaha eva tridha smritaha. That's the one we are going to be taking. So, we were examining, even at this early stage of this text and Karika, Mandukya and Karika, even at this early stage of the identity between Jiva and Ishvara, and more appropriately between Jivatma and Paramatma. This is the goal of the teaching of Vedanta, culminating in the Mahavakya, Tattvamasi and others. However, in the Prakriya, the teaching methodology, also called Pranali sometimes, Swami Akhandananda uses the word Pranali, but more commonly used word called Prakriya. In this Prakriya, in the Ekajivavada Prakriya, this identity, instead of waiting at the end of the teaching, not the absolute end, but towards the end of the teaching, when the mind has been fully developed, the thinking has been purified, etc., then the Tattvamasi is taken up. Here, however, Swami Akhandananda's teaching, not only in this text, but really in any other text you take. I'm also starting the review of his text, Drikdrishya Viveka. Beautifully done, just such depth of his analysis. And the principles of those analyses in the other texts is very similar to what we are doing now. And just about a month or so ago, I started listening to the audio tapes of Swami Akhandananda on Brahma Sutras, the Chatusutris of the Brahma Sutra. And he's going through Adi Shankara's Adhyasa Bhashya. Beautiful, absolutely marvelous. The audio quality is not as good it would be as it was recorded today, but this was done in 1968. You can imagine, after all these years, it's kind of pieced together, and it's all in Hindi. Absolutely marvelous, captivating. And the principles used in those audio tapes in a live setting, this was done in Mumbai, are identical to what he has presented in the Karika and what is presented in Drishyadeka Viveka. And those are some very basic principles that he builds this prakriya on. And I will share that with you as we go along. Very important pillars of fundamental prakriyas. So the point I'm making is that in this prakriya, the identity between Jiva and Ishvara is not kept at the end. It is started in the very beginning itself. And I think that the analogy of doing it this way is akin to removing your hunger by eating. So let us look at this. So if you're very hungry and you want a full meal to be completely satisfied, even though the full satisfaction of taking away the hunger takes a while. However, even as you start eating, can you deny that your hunger is diminishing step by step? You can't. So really speaking, even though you have not reached the full sense of satisfaction, but the partial sense of satisfaction doesn't have to wait. And you can build it up as you go along. This is a principle used in the Ekajiva Vada in talking about the aikyam of Jiva and Ishvara. Okay. That being the case, we were examining in the last class the identity of the Swarupa of Jivatma and Paramatma. How both of them, the Swarupa means the very nature. So there are two words used. I think most of you are familiar with it, but just in case, I'll revise the definition. There's a difference between Swarupa and Swabhava for any vastu. Like, for example, take a body of water, either a lake or an ocean. There are two things pertaining to the body of water. One is called Swarupa and one is called Swabhava. The Swarupa of the body of water is water. The Swabhava of the body of water is waviness or ability to be in drops, droplets, ability to be separated from, like you take a glass of water. So the ability for the water to be seemingly separated from each other without really being separated. That waviness, droplessness, dropfulness, separateness is Swabhava. So that's those are the two words used. But the Swarupa means the very essence of the vastu that you cannot separate from. That's the fundamental essence of that vastu. So talking about that, the Swarupa of Jiva and the Swarupa of Ishvara. So Swarupa of Jivatma and Swarupa of Paramatma is what? I'll take a sip out of the glass of water while you kindly think. What would that be? The answer is Sat. Sat. Satyam. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Sat. Starting with Sat. Let's just focus on one aspect of it, which is Sat. What is the definition of Sat? Sat means a vastu that never appears, leave aside the word as, one which is never not Sat, under no conditions. Whether it appears it or not is a separate matter, so I have to be careful about the words. But the essence of Sat is one that never ever leaves its basic state. Never. Either it's independent of time, independent of space, independent of other vastus, it always remains the same. That is the definition of Sat. That Sat is the Swarupa of Jivatma, you, and the Paramatma, which is the Atma of everyone in this whole creation. Both of them are Sat. Okay, let's look at this step by step. Okay. Having seen that, one can say the Satyata of Ishvara is presumed for the time being. Right? I'm just talking about Parameshwara, Paramatma, not yourself. Your own self I will come in a minute or so. But look at Parameshwara. So when we say the Jivat Paramatma is also Sat, we don't know that. We don't know that. It makes sense even from the standpoint of the definition of Paramatma. Right? The definition of Paramatma or Ishvara, you can use those interchangeably with a very small difference. Ishvara is Paramatma considered along with the Maya Shakti of the creative aspects of the whole creation. But that is a Swabhava, not the Swarupa. The Swarupa is Satchidanandaha, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. This is the definition. Why is it a definition? Because you cannot even start by imagining God or Ishvara or Paramatma or Bhagavan, however you call it, without knowing that he or she, if you want to prefer, is always there. If Paramatma also disappears for a while, then that doesn't make any sense, because that means that it's also coming and going. So even the definition is violated. So from a definitional standpoint, assumptional point standpoint, Paramatma must be Sat. But it's very interesting, he must be Sat. We don't know if he is Sat. So that means, in fact, we can say this, the Satyata, the beingness, the Sat Swarupata, the very essence of being Sat, is Paroksha for you, isn't it? I mean, as long as we are trying to define everything, let's make sure that we understand what is Paroksha. So really, if you look at the entire gamut of experiences that we have, they can be classified into three buckets. One is called Paroksha. Paroksha means relative to where I am, or you and I are at any one time, it's away from you. Away from you. So I was surprised to find the other day somebody was mentioning this. Can you believe there are over 200 countries in the world now? And you can just pick out any name. Sierra Leone, Zanzibar. So I hope any one of you are not from Zanzibar or Sierra Leone. It doesn't matter if you are, but I'm picking out those names assuming that none of you have ever been there. And those countries are paroksha for you. The paroksha vastus are subject to becoming pratyaksha. I think I was telling you this one time. There is a colleague of mine when I was with Hewlett Packard. And so she said, I'm going on vacation. So I said, where are you going? She says, oh, I'm going to Belize. So I said, where? She says, Belize. You know Belize? I said, no, I don't know Belize. She says, have you been to Hawaii? I said, yes. She says, I feel Belize is better than Hawaii. So that gives me some paroksha view, some kind of a view, comparative view, that I know Hawaii, and she said it's even better than that. It's her subjective view, but anyway, that's what she explained it. And if I go to Belize, then the parokshata of Belize becomes pratyakshata of Belize. Means now my sense organs are able to envelop this vastu which was away from me. So there are now two states that we have talked about. Paroksha, pratyaksha. There is a third category called aparoksha. Now, what is aparoksha? A beautiful word. It starts with the nunj. Nunj means a negative. Aparoksha means before paroksha means not paroksha. Absolutely marvelous word. Aparoksha. We saw the aparoksha anubhuti. We studied that. Aparoksha means not paroksha, neither paroksha nor pratyaksha. What does that define? It defines you. First of all, let us see, can you ever be paroksha? Is it possible for you to be ever paroksha? Only a connection with something will make you subject to parokshata or pratyakshata. Like suppose you want to go to Belize. So the Belize, if you ever go there, you'll find that it is now no longer paroksha, it is pratyaksha. And you are there. Your body, your mind, your presence is all there to make the paroksha into a pratyaksha, right? Even there, do you ever leave your aparokshata? Ever? No. Is there any other vastu, any other, the vastu is a very beautiful word because if you translate that into a thing, you are subject to make it inert because the table is a thing, but it's also a vastu, but it's a jada vastu. But the Chaitanya vastu, which you and I are, or any other living being for that matter, we're talking about that vastu. That vastu, you, can you ever be paroksha or pratyaksha? So this is a very interesting thing. We'll get into more detail on this later on. If I ask you, can you ever be paroksha? The answer is a clear no. I can never be paroksha. You are always aproksha. The next question is, can you be pratyaksha? The answer is yes. How is that possible? A minute ago we said you were always aparoksha. Yeah, you're always aparoksha, no doubt about it. But you can appear to be yourself as also pratyaksha. This is the crux of our problem in life. That I can look upon myself as this. Here all the acharyas, Vedantic acharyas, say even grammatically it doesn't make any sense. The writers of the grammar cannot substitute I with this. This is the whole crux of this Adhyasa Bhashya by Sri Shankaracharya, which Swami Akhandananda has been spending, I think I've listened to maybe about 15 to 16 hours of his talks just on Adhyasa Bhashya. Of course, we studied that as part of our Brahma Sutra class a couple of years back. So, yes, the I can appear to be pratyaksha without being pratyaksha. Yes, Swami Dayanandji also had pointed out this is a very interesting phenomena in our life. You and this can never be the same. That doubt never comes across our mind. I never feel that I am you. If I meet you as a student, I never feel I'm you. I never feel that I am any of the people that I meet. I don't feel that I'm any of the things that I sit on. I'm never the chair, never the table. I'm not the car that I am in. Nothing. Not the place, the house, nothing. But I feel I am this body. This body. Idam. Swami Akhandananda will take this up later on. This is called Idanta. Idanta means the quality of being this. So Ahanta and or Anidanta. Anidanta means not this. So Ahanta and Anidanta are two separate things. Anyway, I'm giving you more detail than is pertinent to this particular discussion. All I'm saying is that you can possibly see yourself as a pratyaksha also. And just like the what's called a defect in vyaghata, as a defect in grammar, even in understanding the same vyaghata can be there. Aham and idam can never be the same, but I take it to be. Anyway, that's a separate thing. Just a side comment on can you ever be pratyaksha? Leave aside that for a while. Here's the main point I'm driving at. So please pay attention to this part of it. In looking at the identity between Jivatma and Paramatma, both have the same Swarupa, which is Sat. But the Sat Swarupatvam, the Swarupata, Satyata of Ishvara is yet to be proven. Yet to be proven. I have a definition that I believe in, of course. And if you have Shraddha towards Ishvara, you can have Shraddha towards Ishvara. But this is not Jnanam. You don't know. Anytime there is a problem in your life, you start to doubt if there is Ishvara or not. Every time you're happy, you feel Ishvara must be there. Actually, if you're very happy, it's very interesting. You forget Ishvara when you're very happy. It's the other way around. If you're unhappy, then you need Ishvara, but you don't know whether Ishvara will come through or not. Regardless of it, the Satyata of Ishvara is kept in obeyance. It is paroksha, isn't it? Can you deny that? Ishvara is like Belize. Belize can also be described, and Ishvara is also described. Ishvara is described just like we were talking about. Remember the parents that were trying to teach a child about different figures, and it says this is this, and then there's a picture of a nose, and it says this child is a nose. Can you repeat it? Nose. Nose, yes. And so this looks like this is a nose. But the child still doesn't know that this is a nose. We went through that example several classes ago. This is very similar. Here, the description of Ishvara may be given to you, that one who is very kind, who is always with you, as we saw in the last class, always with you. more than your mom, dad, friends, relatives, children, colleagues, always with you, no matter what happens. These pictures we know, but we don't. This is kind of not know, but we are told, and we kind of believe in it, maybe, but we don't know. So the Satyata is kept in abeyance about the Ishvara. Now comes the Satyata of Jiva. Okay. Is the Satyata of Jivatma ever paroksha? Don't you see it is always aparoksha? The nature is aparokshata. Just like Satyata is the nature of the Jivatma, the aparokshata also is the nature of Jivatma, isn't it? Can you ever be away from you? It doesn't even make any sense. You cannot say, I am not. I am not. I, I, I disappeared for a while. I didn't know where I was. And then I found myself. I got lost. I mean, you can say I got lost, but your getting lost has to do with some relativity. But as you can ever be, not where you are. So, as opposed to the Satyata of Ishvara, the Satyata of Jivatma is proven, self-proven. It doesn't even need pramana. As we saw in the last class, it is pramana agamyam. It doesn't have to be proven. You don't need a proof. I mean, if you want, we can see this in a short meditation. Yeah, why don't we do that? Let's think about that. Let's do a small meditation just on this point. Okay, so let me again turn these bright lights off. Where's the wire? Oh. I don't know, I feel like maybe I should just turn off all the lights for a second. Let's see how that would be. Namaste astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Triambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikalagnikalaya Kalagnirudraya Neelakanthaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namah. Vedanta Shruti says Atma Swayam Siddha. It is you are self-existing. The nature of yourself, which is Atma, Jivatma, is self-existing. Swayam Jyoti. It is self-effulgent. The light of the Atma is its own. Swayam Jyoti. The nature of the Atma is Swayam Siddha. This is what the Shruti says about you and I. This is exactly like a parent introducing a particular concept to you by distinguishing itself, distinguishing it from others. Other things are parasiddha. They depend on something else. Parajyoti, like the light of the moon, is borrowed from the sun. It is not Swayam Jyoti. So the Shruti points out that Atma is something unique. That is the Lakshana of Atma, a distinguishing characteristic of the Atma, different from anything else, as Swatasiddha Swayam Jyoti. This is what the Shruti teaches us. Like a parent pointing out in a book and saying to a child, this shape is called nose. Now, in this meditation, let us try to see not just an illustration of self-existence and self-effulgence, not just an illustration of them, but the reality of them. Please consider yourself. For you to know where you are, you need to know the coordinates of space. For you to know when you are, you need a connection to time, dependence on time. To determine where you are, you need the coordinates of space. I am here in North America, on the West Coast, etc. You need to know what you look like by looking at your appearance. You're dependent on the appearance. For you to know that you are for you to know whose son or daughter you are, you need knowledgeable memory. You're dependent on it. for you to know where were you this morning. You need your memory. You are dependent on your memory. For you to know who are your close friends, you need your mind. But for you to know that you are, do you need the coordinates of space? For you to know that you are, do you need to know the time? For you to know that you are, do you need your memory? For you to know that you are, do you need your appearance? Your body? Do you need to know that you are, do you need your mind? Is it possible that you are not? For you to know that you are not, you need to be. Our Shastra says in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Nahi drashtuhu drishतेः विपरिलोपः विद्यते अविनाशित्वात्. nahi drashtu of the seer, drishte, the beingness, the knowingness, the jnanam, viparilopa na vidyate. It is not possible for it to disappear. Why not? Avinashitvat. Because only when I am dependent on anything, I can be destroyed. An independent vastu defined by Svatasiddhatvam, Swayam Jyotishtata cannot disappear. It cannot disappear, even if it wanted to. That's who you are. For where you are, when you are, what you are, you need dependency. But you, the Jivatma, it's Satsvarupa, timeless, spaceless, self-existing. Sada aparokshaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So the implication of this is that if we were to find Ishvara, if we were to find Ishvara, which means that I have to know Ishvara. To find Ishvara means to to be directly see Ishvara without any doubt. That's what finding Ishvara is. If we were to do that, where do I start? That's the question. There are various options. Karma, in the form of yoga, where I do action not just for my gain, but for my offering to Ishvara. This is one way. Upasana, bhakti, prayerfulness, where I try to seek the presence of Ishvara by taking some actions, going to a temple, going to various tirthasthanams, etc. That's another way. And we all do that. Or we can do samadhi, the yogic samadhi, where I negate the effect of jagat, samsara, by washing my mind off of it, just practicing no interference from people, sounds, memories, just being with myself. And remembering that that is in fact the form of Ishvara. That's another way we can do that. And in fact, a combination of those. But out of all of these options to begin looking for Ishvara, our Shruti says, we have a suggestion for you. And the suggestion is made from the standpoint of making sense, complete sense. All of these actions, karma, upasana, yogic samadhi, etc., all make sense. But none of them makes as much sense as first discovering the satyata, the essence of satyata, right where you are. That should be your starting point, your beachhead. so to speak. I remember Swami Dayananji giving this very beautiful example. I vividly recall that. He said that in the Second World War, when the Nazis were threatening to take over uh, many of the countries of Europe, and it was really a very dicey situation. In fact, it could have happened where the German Nazis would have taken over most of the they already had taken quite a few. And so when the Americans finally decided to enter the war, they had to figure out how to take this very strong Nazi army and air force and navy, because it has become very powerful at that time. And there was a lot of discussion about how best to do so. It was a very challenging situation, and a brilliant uh, strategy was put into place, and that was to attack the coast of France called in Normandy. And the reason why it was a brilliant strategy was that, of course, the German army was pretty spread out, so they could not really cover all of the areas. But the Americans and the British, I think also, I don't know the exact partnership and so on, but what they decided to do was to put all their eggs in the basket of this one small area on the coast of France near Normandy, and really start to put all of their armaments there as a base to build from, and that they could defend against the Germans. They could do that because it was not like they conquered the whole country. They just took a slice of the country and made it into a very strong presence and expanded from there. Remember the Swami Dayananji gave you this example. So, I tell you, this is a very important thing for us to see, because each one of us is struggling to find a sense of independence. Finding Ishvara is really the same thing as finding independence. Finding Ishvara means that Ishvara's definition, as we saw earlier, is, in fact, is given in the word Ishvara. The Varat Pratyaya means total boss, not beholden to anyone, independence. And I want to be like that. And I don't see any other way of gaining that independence until I take the Sharanagati, the refuge of Ishvara. This is what knowing Ishvara means. And this is a huge challenge. Life, we have gone through many, many lives, and it is not an easy job. I'm so entrenched in fighting through my life in such a way that to suddenly now make sense and become knowledgeable about all of this seems like an awfully challenging job, and it is. It is not an easy job. It is like, defeating the Nazi army. Samsara is it's a very powerful force acting against me. But there's a way. There's a way. It can be done. In fact, the way is, it is already done. That's the beauty of Vedanta. Praptasya prapti. We should never ever forget that. That whenever our mind becomes agitated and we lose certain enthusiasm for life and we are inundated by problems and so on, we should remind ourselves I have already won. I'm already free. I just have to discover that. The question is, how do I discover that? So I'm really fighting my own ideas about the world. I'm not fighting the world, really speaking. We have said that and we will point it out again. So what it suggested is be very strategic. And strategic in the sense that be wise. Be wise to the fact that find refuge in a place which is secure, safe, clear, unmistakable beachhead of truth. Start from the beachhead of truth. Then expand. The beachhead of truth is first think about the veracity, the truthfulness of this fact. You are timeless, my dear. You are independent of anything because you are. And anytime you don't understand, that non-understanding is because of the error that you are taking yourself under the coordinates of where you are and when you are and what you are. But the fact that you are is an incontrovertible fact. See that. Be comfortable in that fact. See what it would do for you. And once you become that, then I assure you, the whole Shastra takes on a new meaning altogether. Because it is no longer written in the books that you are timeless. You feel you are timeless. You're not complete yet. But at least you have a very clear, you can't even call it an experience, but you can see the aparokshata of that, the aparokshata of the Atma, the satyata of the Atma. You can see that. That is not in the copybooks, not in the textbooks. It is you. And unless you see that very clearly, the rest of the things don't make any sense. You can read all the books, all the Upanishads. They will all look like what are the Panchakosha Viveka, use this, that, or the other, Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, all kinds of things. But unless you see that yourself, just a small portion, I'm not asking you to visualize Ishvara, that will come. But at least this should be seen. That being the case, so I looked at it another way. The search for Ishvara, which is called Lingam, Shiva Lingam, any Lingam, Atma Lingam, must be based on truth. Because we saw that a knowledgeable person who is assisting this person whose cow has been lost will base his search on something which is certain, not imagined. So in that sense, really all the other sadhanas are kalpita sadhanas. They require a lot of Shraddha. To do Karma Yoga, Kalpita Shraddha, Kalpita Sadhana. To do Upasana, Kalpita Sadhana. To do meditation, to do yogic samadhi is a Kalpita Sadhana. You hope that it will come true, but you don't know. And if you take one of those things also, eventually you would have to pass through this door of sakshat, aparokshat, not even a karan. This is not even a sadhana. Because the sadhana is for a siddha, for a sadhya vastu. This is not a siddha vastu. This is not a sadhya vastu. This is a siddha vastu. Already there. So this is the door we all have to pass through. You might as well do that in the very beginning. Why not? What's keeping you from it? So therefore, this lingam, this search, this path of finding is the most direct because it is based on something that you know that for a fact. Otherwise, you have to assume a lot of things. You don't know. May come true, may not come true. But this one you can see directly now. So therefore, the finding of the aikyam, the ekata between Ishvara and Jiva, the best way to do that is to look at the satyata of your own self. And from there you can now branch out. Then the war has a chance of really becoming, you have now established a base which is solid, which is truthful, which nobody can take away from you. And now you start to base your expansion of what is going on in the world, my relationship, all etc., from this very solid base. So this is the real advantage of having this Ekajivavada Prakriya, that you don't wait. You start to fulfill your hunger right away, even though it is partial, but you start on it. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Good to see you all. All right. If there's no questions, then I will hopefully see you in the next class. Hari Om.